Extraction 2 is the sequel to the 2020 Netflix movie Extraction, once again starring Chris Hemsworth. In this movie, Tyler Rake has barely survived the events from the previous Extraction movie. He's pretty much wanting to be done until he's approached with a new mission. And that mission is he has to go rescue his former sister-in-law and her 2 kids from this prison in Georgia. That's Georgia the country and not Georgia the state. Except this sister-in-law of his, she's married to this crime lord that runs an insane crime operation in Georgia. So now when Tyler Rake goes to set this woman and her kids free, he's got an entire army of fucking crazy people ready to come after him and kill him. I really enjoyed the first Extraction. I mean, when it first got released, I was just happy that a new movie existed, given the fact that it was the COVID year and everything was getting delayed, so I was happy to finally get some new content. But as an action movie, I had a lot of fun with it. I thought Chris Hemsworth killed it in the role. And I gotta tell you, the way a lot of the action was filmed in the first Extraction was incredible. A lot of one-take action scenes that seemed to go on forever, that just made everything feel so seamless. I was amazed they pulled that off. I mean, I'm a big fan of one-take action shots, but I understand in action scenes that's really hard to pull off, and that movie did, and that's what I thought was most impressive about it. And I'll say, here in Extraction 2, I feel like we get a lot of the same thing, but in still a very, very good way. First of all, Chris Hemsworth as Tyler Rake. I think he's quickly starting to become one of the more popular action heroes we're getting in action movies today. I mean, he has a little bit of that John Wick kind of persona to himself. He's not very emotional. He's kind of stoic. He just wants to be left alone. He doesn't really want to be doing this dangerous mission shit for the rest of his life. But somehow, some way, that life just keeps coming back to him. He keeps getting swept into things, and you really don't feel like he has any way of getting out. He's just gonna punch and shoot his way through everything. But there's no denying, this dude is an absolute badass. He is such a skilled fighter. He's so good with weaponry, and he is committed to his mission. Like, he may not have as close a relationship with this family as perhaps he once did or could have, but he is assigned to get them out of there. He's determined to do so. Also, in this movie, I felt like we focused a lot more on the team that's around him. The 2 people, namely, that work with him. I know they were in the previous movie, but if I'm being honest, maybe it's just because I watched that once, it was a few years ago, but I don't remember a whole lot about them. In this movie, though, I felt like they got a lot more time to shine. I thought they were a lot more involved in the action scenes and in the rescue mission. When their lives were in danger, when they were in peril, I actually cared more about them, and I appreciate that the movie took that extra mile. Also, let's get into the best part of this movie. The action of this movie is great, it's fantastic, and I gotta talk about this one scene. Not even scene, but this long, just continuous take. It felt like that anyway. There's about, I can't even call it a scene because I feel like it went on for like 20 minutes, I want to say. And Tyler Rake has stormed into the prison. He's trying to get this family out, and he is just fighting bad guys one by one by one. And the whole time, the whole rescue scene, every fight scene, them just getting out of the prison, it's all filmed in one continuous shot. And I saw that, I was like, this is some of the best action filmmaking I think that's ever been done. I mean, I have seen action scenes filmed in one continuous take, but never to that extent. Not that I can think of anyway. I was absolutely floored by it. And that's where I gotta give a lot of credit. The people behind the camera, the editors, just the actors themselves being able to get all these takes done in however little it took. I mean, it's really remarkable. And even saying the way Tyler Rake fights, I mean, there are moments where he's just taking whatever he can to fight against these guys. There's one moment in particular. It might have been unrealistic, but his entire arm was on fire, and he just starts punching some dude repeatedly with it. As unrealistic as it might have been, I thought it was fucking awesome. I mean, his hand was on fire. He was delivering fire punches. It was fucking awesome. As much as I loved that scene, however, it did make me a little weary for how the rest of the movie was going to go on, because around the time that happened, we're really only, I want to say, a third into the movie. So the fact that they were leaving us with something that big and that just remarkable when it comes to action, it left me nervous if the rest of the movie could hold up to that. And I'll say, does the rest of the movie have action? Does it have fight scenes? Are they entertaining? Yes, absolutely. But none come anywhere close to that. For me, it's almost like you're out to dinner and you get served some amazing appetizers. Like, the appetizers were just unfreaking real. You devoured them, you loved them, you were amazed that appetizer could have been that impressive. And then you get the main course, and you're kind of sitting there like, I mean, this is good, but I'm still thinking about those appetizers. As a result, when you walk out of dinner that night, you're kind of sitting there like, well, I mean, it was a good meal and I feel fulfilled, but man, if only the entree could have met up with those appetizers. It kind of felt like that here. Part of me feels like the movie would have benefited a lot better if they saved such an epic action scene like that for the end of the movie. Because that's just the reality for any movie. It's not really how you start, it's how you finish. And if you could have closed it out with an action montage like that one, I feel like people would walk out of Extraction 2, or in this case, log off from watching Extraction 2 on Netflix. They'd probably be feeling way more fulfilled and way more hyped from something like that. Also, I would say this movie does also suffer from stereotypical action movie stuff, like, you know, the bad guys got the hero cornered, and, you know, they're kind of just monologuing a little bit. They're not really taking the shot when they could easily take the shot and just end everything. You're kind of just sitting there like, alright, just keep going and going. Eventually Tyler Rate's gonna find a way out of it. There you go. Also, this movie does give us a further peek behind what Tyler Rake's life was before he became this soldier. I mean, he had a wife, he had a kid, and we learn a little bit more about what that backstory was like. However, when the movie wants you to feel a little more emotional from it, I didn't really. I never felt like that was a huge focus in the story. We don't really delve a whole lot into what his relationship with his family was really like, or at least a really good hard look at it to make us maybe feel more about the dynamic that he now has with his family. I just feel like the movie put that in there to make him more human and try to make him more of a relatable character, kind of, but it didn't quite stick the landing. So all in all, I thought Extraction 2, like the first Extraction, was a really good time. Maybe even a little bit better than the first one. Chris Hemsworth, once again, portrays this great character. I think we could see a lot more of Tyler Rake in the future. I definitely hope we do. I like that his team got a little more time to shine. Some of the action in this movie, namely the 20-minute long shot that we got, spectacular. Movie has some fun action to go on after that, but none that hits the level that that montage did. Some characters, good and bad, making stupid decisions. I wish we got a little more invested in Tyler Rake's past to get more invested in him as a character. But in the end, I'll say this much. I think Netflix has found their own potential action franchise in here that, along the way, we could look at as a B version of John Wick. And I don't have a problem with that. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.